Let's see if I can.
Xavier, they got a receiver.
All right, we live right now. Um, Let me check everything to see what's going on. But the draft just wrapped. Probably need to Okay. Let me go ahead and
They compare him to AJ Brown.
who? Which guy?
Xavier, I don't know how to say his last name. The receiver that the Panthers just picked.
All right, I'm about to drop this in the chat for you real quick, and then we about to go.
All right.
Okay. Let me. All right. Close. Go ahead, pull that up. All right. See, so my audio's working. See if your audio's working. Q.
We good? We
About to
good?
see. About to see. I'm just seeing if it comes through on the stream.
Okay. Yeah, they.
Yep. We good. So let me go ahead and minimize this. So if it can help the frames per second, which it did actually. All right. Three, two, one, and the draft recap show for the first show that we have for the objective opinion. My boy Q, I'm Jimmie, and this will be a fun little time with some buddies, with coworkers, and we love sports. We love. Oh, Q just disappeared for a second. Um, no worries. This is our first time, so we're trying to figure out how this will work all together. Let me get Q back in.
Hold on, Jimmy. My team's is tripping.
All right, I get it. It's all good.
My bad. But it was like, do you wanna hold on?
That's all good. Technical difficulties right now, but it's our first ever live stream, and we're doing it virtually, so I expect it to have some problems. Just you want to try to call me back?
Hold on, yeah, cause I don't know what happened. It was like, oh, the new teams is
Ah, yeah,
here.
the new
Like,
teams. Yeah,
I was like, no, let me just stick with what I'm already in. And it was like, oh, when you want to do that, we gonna take it out.
yeah, for sure. All right, that's cool. Just give me a call back then.
I'm doing it in. Hold on,
I
I'm about to
need.
switch.
Okay. All right, there's Q calling me. Accept video. Let's get my boy into this. Right
All right.
there. All right, let me get you back in. All right, there he is. Check you. Give me a mic check. Q, go ahead and talk. See if I
Can
get
you
the.
hear me?
Yeah, I can
Can you
get it.
hear
I
me?
get
I'm
it.
good. Good.
Yep, yep,
Can
yep.
you see me?
I can see you. I dropped the link in that chat, so you want to check it out. Um. All right, here we go.
I don't see me under the in the. Oh, now I see me. Okay,
Yeah,
okay. Little delay.
yeah, a little slight delay with it. But here we go. We watched the draft. This is the first show for the new podcast, The Objective Opinion, where we're going to talk about sports and entertainment, things we like, with a very factual opinion, I'd say, for a lot of things. And with the draft just happening, we want that to be the focus. We want that to be um, what we talk about for today. And every team had their chance to sort of solidify and make their team a little bit better for this upcoming season. And we have some thoughts, some opinions, some objective opinions. I like to say, the first beginning of the draft queue, like it went 1, 2, 3 as everyone expected. The mock draft was a lot of people's mock drafts were pretty accurate. I'd say right on the money. Um, Number one quarterback Caleb Williams from USC. I think everyone knew that was a consensus pick, especially after they traded away Justin Fields. And we have some thoughts about that, and we'll probably share that throughout the course of us coming to you for this. But Caleb Williams, what do you think?
I feel like Caleb Williams is a great pick. The only problem I have, I feel like it's an A pick. Honestly, I feel like it's a pick, but they still didn't get no offensive line in this draft, and it is like no help to Caleb Williams. Like you brought in all of this stuff to help Caleb Williams as far as like receivers, and you got the tight end, you brought the running back in, but who's gonna block for this thing with this guy?
Hey, just let it go. Like say how you feel. I selected not made for kids. Be you. So, I will say this. I do think it happens a lot with black quarterbacks. You saw what happened with Joe Burrow. You saw who the Bengals picked. You saw who the Chargers picked. Right. The goal is to protect those guys, but the black quarterback, the goal is to, hey, you got some legs, run, damn it, you know what I'm saying? Like that's crazy, like, hey, you need to protect the black quarterbacks just as much as you protect the non mobile quarterbacks. I'm gonna just say it like that. You got to protect those guys, and um, Bears had another pick, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But number one, Caleb Williams. I do think he's a better all around football player than Justin Fields. But I think you could have won with that guy if you invested in him. I think the Bears made some offseason moves too to get things going. Correct, or did they? I have the recap on what they did. I'm not sure. I thought they made some moves with some receivers.
Yeah, they
Um,
went and got Keenan Allen. So they went and got Keenan Allen to help out, and them getting another receiver. Of course, we're gonna talk about that later on. But they went and got another receiver to really help them out. After they bringing in DJ Moore in the last season, who Justin Fields really started to connect with because he didn't really have a receiver core before then. But now they're bringing in all these extra receivers, all these extra running backs, and I feel like they could have brought in more if you would have just kept Justin Fields. You could have brought in offensive line to help, plus those receivers that you brought. I feel like that they're bringing in more for Caleb Williams than they even attempted to bring in for Justin Fields. But Caleb Williams is a good asset to the team. I feel like because he do bring in more of the aspect of looking down the field when he's using his legs.
I think it comes down to the GM and the management is their last straw. And if they miss on Caleb Williams, then they may have more breathing room. But if they missed and went with Justin Fields, they were gone. I think it probably came down to that. Like, how can I save my ass? How can I save my job? Um, so yeah, that's the Bears. I'm excited to see what the guy could do. Again, he's a stud. He's a complete stud. I think. Uh, Questionable. I mean, he had some questionable games in college, where you just seemed like he was over it. But I do think he's excited to play in the Windy City. I know that city's gonna love him. I know this is about the draft, but with Angel Reese there and now Caleb Williams, and it's it's about to be a pretty rocking sports town, I'd like to say. Um, but yeah, that's the Bears. The Bears, number one, they the worst team in the league, so deservedly so they got number one pick. So that's that.
Well, technically, they wasn't the worst team in
Who's
the
the
league.
worst?
They traded last year with the Panthers, and
Oh,
the
that's true.
Panthers
That's
were the
true. That's
worst
right.
team in the league. Yeah.
I forgot that was actually a team. So yeah, that's true. Panthers were so bad. Um, so we get to the second pick, Jaden Daniels. I know a lot of Jaden Daniels. I'm Louisiana guy, LSU, and he was a complete monster on the field. Heisman Trophy winner. Uh, Great with his legs. Great arm. People continue to compare him to Lamar Jackson of when he was in college, and even some of the aspects of Lamar Jackson when he first got into the league, and just dynamic player all around. He's going to a place where careers die, I'd say. Just being real. Like, you think about the quarterbacks that went there. Um, you think about that place. You think about the Commanders, formerly known as the Redskins back in the day. They had their fair share of very good quarterbacks. RG3, um, Alex Smith didn't truly live up to the hype of being what his overall pick was, but he resurrected his career, especially with the Chiefs, right? Who else did that team have? They had a decent number of quarterbacks, and
They went and got Dwayne Haskins for
oh
one
yeah, that's true.
season.
They had him
Yeah,
for a season. Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Um, but now it's all of that's old because they have now a different ownership with everything. They'll have a new coach, correct, or a new offensive coordinator, um,
And defensive coordinator.
defensive coordinator, um, things like that. So Jaden Daniels, I think it's. I mean, you can't. It was between Jaden Daniels and Drake May at that point,
I'm
right?
I'm gonna give. I'm gonna give them an A on this one because I'm gonna compare him to um, RG3. You know, somebody that can move in the pocket but also get the pass out. Of course, I'm a Cowboy fan, so I know I know heavily about the Commanders, formerly known as the Redskins. So I know they got the weapons. They got Scary Terry and they got Curtis Samuel. They got the weapons to use around him. They got Brian Robinson as a running back, pretty good. Their defense is somewhat, but I feel like the struggle that the Commanders have is in the offensive line. And since they don't have the offensive line to protect him, that's going to be the downfall. The same downfall that they had with RG3. Yeah, RG3 was a great quarterback, but when you always have to run, when you always have to get out of the pocket to make plays, it leads to injury. So unless they get some help on that offensive line, it's a great pick. But unless you get some help on that offensive line, I feel like the pick is unworthy of what the grade I'm giving.
I it's hard to pass up on a guy that dynamic early on, and I don't. They don't have a quarterback, and so that's why I understand why you gave it an A. We have a lot of draft left, and they may address some of that. They may have some room to have some draft capital to get some already established players. Um, as we sort of went through a lot of this draft early on, there was a bunch of offensive players just jumping out, and that was very surprising that they didn't really have any defense, and we didn't get an offensive line until a little bit later, maybe a few picks later. But the very next pick of the draft, that was Drake May, another quarterback, 1, 2, 3. They talked about them throughout the entire offseason as being 1, 2, 3. We didn't know if Jaden Daniels was going to be number 2 or 3. We knew Caleb Williams was going to be that number 1 pick, but Drake May, people love and rave this guy a lot. I think I don't want to hype it up. They, the Patriots thought they had their guy, and the last quarterback they picked out of Alabama. Right now, I'm drawing a complete blank because he was not that memorable at
Mac
all.
Jones?
Mac Jones. I actually thought, as a 49er fan, I was like, man, we can get Mac Jones. Why are we trading up so much for Trey Lance? But we ended up getting our stud much later in that draft, much later in everything. So Drake May, people love this guy, and he basically has a very exceptional arm. He is born and bred Carolina guy, and now he's going up to Boston. He seems to be just what that culture needs and wants in terms of their next quarterback. I think they need to stop trying to find the next Tom Brady though. That's a one in a lifetime sort of thing. I mean, you can say Tom Brady and the next person after Tom Brady that reminds you of someone who could be GOAT level status is Patrick Mahomes. So see, that's a long gap. Patrick Mahomes is just hitting his prime. So um, I, people have talked about Drake May as being Josh Allen type of player, and I think that's lofty. That's a lofty comparison. Where to me, he seems a bit more of a Justin Herbert. And Justin Herbert, he's talented, but he needs more. And so there's a lot that team will need to develop and put talent around him, because as a rookie quarterback, you need help. And we saw that with Brock Purdy his rookie year. He needed a lot of help, and he had that help, and that's why he succeeded so well.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm right there. I'm right there with you. I'm very big on like looking at the team as a whole, and right now one of their weaknesses is offensive line. Like you bring in Zeke and you bring in Stevenson, and the run game isn't really hitting, which means if your pass game is not hitting, your run game is not hitting. There's something in your offensive line, and that's where I'm very big on is like you need someone to protect this person, and like Drake Mays is going to come in and he's going to probably do a little work. Yeah, he's not going to be a Tom Brady, and he's probably not going to be a Josh Allen, at least not with the talent that's around him. Because I think his receivers are Parker, and I mean, like his receivers are not even big name receivers. Your running back is not a big name running back, and your offensive line isn't really any help. So, like, yeah, Mac Jones wasn't the greatest of quarterbacks, and Zappy, who came in, isn't the greatest of quarterbacks too. But how much better would they have been if they had the offensive line to help them out, or the receivers? Because I think they got what Jacoby Myers, so they got they got named people, but they don't have like a true number one. A true somebody that's gonna like when the situation is dire. Who am I going to throw the ball up to? They don't have that person. So you bringing in this quarterback, and like I said, we got plenty of draft left to go, and there's still some off season to bring in somebody, but unless you bring in that target and that blocking and even that running back, because I know Zeke is not there anymore and Stevenson's coming off an injury. So unless something else come, that I feel like that pick is gonna be like a Bryce Young. Like Bryce Young came in and
Wow.
everybody had high hopes, but if you have an offensive line, no running backs, and nobody to throw to, who are you expecting this person to be?
No,
It
I get it. I think you're right about that. And with a team, when teams are that bad, and you see the writing on the wall that they need this and need that, it's always shocking that they don't start making moves. To start like, okay, well, we have to move on from this player eventually. Um, what's out there? Let's start looking towards someone else. Let's start putting the pieces in play for this person, signing who we need to sign, et cetera, et cetera. Um, I think a lot of GMs are not as good as they say they are when it comes to evaluating some of these talents, and we'll see. I don't think this quarterback class will be as bad as the one with Trey Lance. That was a pretty bad class, I'd say. So we'll see. I do like Drake May a lot. I've seen a few games of his, um, but there's a lot that team needs to sort of be back to
is
the
is
level that they had
definitely
before. And
definitely
everybody in
a
that
lot
division
that
has
they
gotten a lot
need.
better. They used to just kind of dominate that division, but that division has gotten a lot better
Is
in recent.
everything about that division is better, and everything about that team is worse. And so it's truly a rebuilding year, and that's why I agree with the pick that they picked because you know that you're in a rebuilding year. This is the rebuilding time for you. You rebuild, you get your quarterback, you get your receivers, you get your running back, or whatever you do through the next couple off seasons, the next couple drafts. The defense is not it's not horrible. I feel like the offense is the real build, and the defense can come through on the other end because the defense wasn't allowing too many points in the regular season. They wasn't allowing. It's your offense wasn't scoring because your quarterback wasn't producing. So yeah, them getting a quarterback will help, but you also need that receiver help and that running back help. You don't have Zeke anymore, and Stevenson is coming off an injury. So that, like I said, it just is very conflicting because I don't know how your running game is going to be this year, and also Bill Belichick is gone. So you also got to build up a whole new offensive scheme from a new offensive coordinator, and so like we just got to see. Like I feel like they're in a rebuilding year, and that's why I give this draft pick such a high draft. I like such a high grade because when you're in a rebuilding year, you need somebody that's going to take on the team
I
and be the
agree.
leader of the team.
Yeah, he's going to obviously. If you watched that pick live as did I, and it seems like the fans who were in attendance were very happy for that pick, and they kind of knew going in that was going to be their guy. We'll see. I think Boston's a great sports town, and so it's a lot of pressure. Now I will say a pick that was right, completely right, and based on the conversation so far, you'll be a fan of was Jim Harbaugh's pick. Uh, they went and got Joe Alt from Notre Dame, offensive tackle to protect his boy, his Justin Herbert, and Jim's a quarterback guy, right? You know, he was the Bears' first pick when he came out. What, 84? He's one of my favorite coaches. He, used to coach the 49ers. I love his slogan, "Who's got it better than us? Nobody." I love it. He's such a good motivational coach, a player's coach. And so he knew he silenced everybody. I'm all in on Justin. Year one. That's my guy. And I'm going to protect my guy. Uh, Even losing Keenan Allen, easy thing could have been going to get Malik Neighbors or some wide receiver. Nah, I'm going to protect my guy. And I know you probably like that pick.
I I definitely like that pick, considering that you already lost Keenan Allen. You already lost you already lost basically your Austin Eckler. You lost your identity of the team because I felt like it was an Austin Eckler team, and then Keenan Allen was a part of it with Justin Herbert using him. Of course, we skipped over Arizona picking Marvin Harrison Jr.
We did. We
Uh,
did. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Go,
yeah, we skipped
go
over
ahead and
Marvin.
touch on that. I apologize for that.
Yeah, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is definitely a great pick for Arizona, especially since them losing Marquise Brown. Kyler Murray's going to need some help. Like Kyler Murray is suffering over there. Like I don't know. Like there's a lot of people that I hear from my side. I don't know about your side, but from my side, that Kyler Murray isn't it. But Kyler Murray has never had the team to win. Like, yeah, he had D Hop, yeah, and yeah, he have who was over there now? Skipping my mind right. Oh, Mark. Well, he had Marquise Brown, and he ended up going to the Chiefs. All right. So now you need somebody to help him out because he ain't got receivers, and his running back James Conner. He's like great when you don't need him to be, but when you need him to be, he's not there. At least from my experience. And so you getting Marvin Harrison Jr. could bring up because he also brought up in one of his Pro Bowl games. He was like, "Tell CD Lamb to come over here because I'll make him a star." So since he's talking about he gonna make CD Lamb a star, I want to see what he do with Marvin Harrison Jr. I want to see how he brings Marvin Harrison Jr. into his play style. And I'll let you get on to that because I know you skipped over to that. But you bringing in a tackle, like I mean, somebody to actually block for Justin Herbert is a definitely win. I feel like the reason why his injury last year led so long is because he didn't have the potential to actually use his team because he's not a running quarterback. And when he's not a running quarterback, he got to invade in the backfield and find out what's happening downfield. And that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So you bringing in somebody to help protect him and he don't have the Keenan Allen to bail out to, and he don't have the Austin Eckler to bail out to,
Yep.
then yeah, you need that tackle because you need somebody that's going to run the ball to relieve you from all of the stuff that you have to deal with. You're going to need somebody to help to go to when you're in the pinch, and bringing in somebody that's going to help you increase that time. The same problem I have with the Bears and the Commanders. Like you bring in somebody to increase that time is definitely going to be beautiful for that quarterback. Now they have to still
Hmm.
look for receivers and a running back to help him out, but I do like the pick.
Yeah, I think a lot of, and I'll quickly touch on the Marvin Harrison pick. Great pick. It was a need that they needed to address. Obviously, they needed a receiver. They need O line, but they don't need a tackle. They need like interior offensive line. Because they did bring in Jonah Williams to play left tackle, so you know you have you have some protection for um, Kyler Murray. And I think, with Kyler Murray and some of the mobile quarterbacks, again, you have that. I just need to buy some time. The receivers are so good in the league. Athleticism is at an all time high, to the fact that if I can buy a little bit more time, you cannot cover me for 7, 10, 15, 30 seconds, right? So I see that's the approach with it a lot of the time. Just need to buy a little bit more time. So it addresses one of their needs. As you mentioned, they need a running back, and eventually with that running back, you need to address the interior offensive line. You'll need um, a guard and things like that. But I think Jonah Williams will be a pretty good tackle for that. And then kind of springing forward ahead to the pick, I kind of jumped a bit with Joe Alt out of Notre Dame. Again, good pick. Uh, you going He's going to protect his quarterback, Jim Harbaugh, former quarterback, and the quarterback's coach. He's going to protect this guy. So that's good. That's a good start of the campaign. I'd like to see them address defense pretty, like just really get on defense, because I do think um, with teams like that he loves, Jim Harbaugh, you still have to have a very, very solid defense to give your quarterback a lot of opportunities. Um, I think he's a offensive minded coach, but I do think he's going to ensure that his defense is going to be stout. So I do expect them to sort of at some point get some cornerbacks in, get some defensive backs to make things work. Um, who do we have next? So I'll make sure I won't jump this time. But now we have the second LSU guy jumping off the board in Malik Neighbors. And I've watched this guy play a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. Again, LSU guy here. Um, Malik is incredible. I'm surprised he actually came off that high. I thought he was gonna come off around maybe 8 or something like that. But him coming off at 10, him and Jaden Daniels were pretty much lock and step together. Very electric. Just looking at some of his stats. But the fact of the matter is this: former LSU guy Odell Beckham Jr. 10 years ago went to the Giants. Now this guy, Malik Neighbors, he's there with the Giants. I'm not saying he's gonna have a fantastic catch like everyone remembers Odell Beckham having, but he will be able to get open quite often, quite frequently, because he has just some great speed and separate ability, if that is a word, just to get out in open space. Um, that's you guys' division there. The Giants, they have a lot more that they need, obviously. I They need a quarterback, but hey, you know what? I have a receiver, so maybe they don't need a quarterback. You never know. They need a lot. So you know them more intimately than I do, as they play in y'all's division.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that's one thing I do know. I do know my division very well. I unfortunately do not like the pick because I'm a Cowboys fan. But the good side to me, of course, this is not always the best opinion, but the problem with it is that you still have um Daniels as your quarterback, and you just paid this guy. Like, you just paid him all of this money. And so I kind of figured they wasn't going to quarterback because they just spent this money to have this quarterback. And I feel like that's where the disconnect is, because the Giants have been drafting good receivers. They have been drafting great. They drafted Saquon Barkley. Kadarius Toney, when he first came in the league before he went to the Chiefs, was a great receiver. Like the Giants have been drafting well. It's just that when you look at what the team also has to offer, is nothing else after the draft. Like they don't have anything else after the draft to kind of like spark up any interest for your draft. Like, yeah, you get a receiver, but who's gonna throw him the ball? Daniel Jones is not the quarterback for your team. But
Yeah,
the receiver is pretty. He gets open. That's the same thing with Odell Beckham. He get open, and even if he didn't get open, he make plays. And I feel like this guy will make plays, but will your quarterback bring your team to the level that you needed, especially after the fact that y'all got rid of Saquon Barkley?
yeah, and they replaced Saquon with Singletary, if not mistaken. Um, and Singletary was pretty okay Texans, right? But at the same time, he's not Saquon, who's franchise player. Um, so yeah, it's a lot that we know a couple of people that we work with that are Giants fans, and I'd like to hear what they have to say about it. They were not, after extending Daniel Jones. You mentioned that they were not going to sign a quarterback at number one. That'd be crazy. That's a recipe to get fired if you are a general manager. So the next thing, you at that point you got to take back the best man on the board. Um, and obviously with Marvin Harrison Jr. gone, Malik Neighbors is right there. Number 7, another offensive guy taken. A lot of offensive players taken early in this round. J.C. Latham, he is a offensive tackle out of Alabama. Not a sexy pick, but a needed pick. Will Levis, this guy is a tank at quarterback. He will run at you, run you over. He will take a hit, and they want their guy to not take so many hits. No more Derrick Henry. We don't need you to play Derrick Henry. So, they're addressing a need at offensive tackle, addressing a need at the offensive line to make sure they can keep Will Levis upright. Even though he's a bowling ball of a quarterback. I love the way he play. And the thing is, the Titans, they want to play bully ball, even though they don't have Derrick Henry anymore. They want to continue to play bully ball, and this is a great pick. I'm always a fan. If you're not unsure about a quarterback, okay, cool. There'll be another quarterback at some point. Maybe not this draft, but next draft. So now I'm going to protect the quarterback I have now. And so if I walk away on this guy or move away from this guy, I have some solid foundation ready for the next guy. So that's, to me, I think it's a good pick.
I also love the pick. I don't think I will disagree with you with saying that the bully ball is what they're doing, because they wouldn't sign Tony Pollard. He's not a bully ball player. Um, but I do love the pick because you getting somebody to help your quarterback, give your quarterback some time. And of course, like you said, you didn't sign a Derrick Henry to take over the run game. All right, you sign a Tony Pollard, somebody that's going to bring you speed, somebody that's going to bring you elusiveness, and now you still have D Hop over there, like, and you still have what Traylon Burks over there. Will Levis is coming back, you know, off his injury. Now you're bringing in the quarterback aspect of the game, because I felt like it was a run heavy first. With Ryan Tannehill, it was still run heavy. Derrick Henry, Derrick Henry, Derrick Henry. And if Derrick Henry didn't run the ball, it was a read option and Tannehill run it in. Now you're switching over to Will Levis, who's not as he's yeah, he's a bully person, but he's still a pass first quarterback. And that's what I like. And so I feel like they're switching over to this pass first, run second. And that's why I love this pick because you're giving Will Levis the time to determine what he's going to do. Is he going to go through his full progression or is he going to take off and try to get this first down? You're giving him the time because Derrick Henry was running behind one of the offensive line was definitely in the bottom half of the league. It wasn't in the top 15. His offensive line was in the bottom. So for Derrick Henry to do what he did with that team is very amazing. And so like you getting somebody to help out, even if Tony Pollard take on that role of being the workhorse, or even if Will Levis take on that role, you give time for either one of them. I love this pick.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick. Again, you may not be super sure about your quarterback and the person you want, but under center, and they may be sold on him, but I think it's important to get the foundation going. But I know someone who isn't a team that's not really sure on their quarterback, and that's the Atlanta Falcons, because they had a pick that was had everyone in the sports fandom scratching their head, like what in the heck is going on, and even the quarterback that they signed in the offseason, despite having a current injury that he needs to recover from, Kirk Cousins. The Atlanta Falcons signed Michael Penix Jr. And I will say right now, I love it. I love it. Absolutely love the pick. Why I love it? Because you're not sure about who Kirk Cousins will be. It's just that simple. And if Kirk Cousins will be a great quarterback for them, if he's ready, if he's good, Penix can sit and wait and learn. Uh, that's what Colin Kaepernick had to do with Alex Smith when Jim Harbaugh came and kind of figured some stuff out, and he got better because, and then Kaepernick sat and waited. That's what Brock Purdy was going to do if you know all the quarterbacks didn't get hurt. With Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo, and Trey Lance he sat behind Jimmy Garoppolo. I love that. I love when what Tony Romo and Dak Prescott. If Kirk Cousins is ready to play, if he's ready to play, then and he plays well, then that buys you time as Atlanta Falcons GM, coach, leadership, stuff like that, because Kirk Cousins is on his way out at some point, and we're seeing it now with Jordan Love and how long he sat behind Aaron Rodgers, and everyone's fearful of that team because that team is with Jordan Love and the stuff he knows now, and he's ready to just take over the league, I believe. And so I do like the pick. It's just if you got to toss him in the fire because Kirk isn't ready, Kirk isn't who he was after the injury, so be it. It's better that you just got to do that. Um, Achilles tendon injury, I tore mine before. They're tough to come back from. They're better at healing those now. Probably thanks to the late great Kobe Bryant, they figured out how to fix those a bit better. And he wasn't himself completely after that, but they're tough to come back from. So I like the pick.
I like the pick too, um, because for one, I'm not a big Kirk Cousins fan. All right, I'm gonna put that out there for y'all now. I'm not a big Kirk Cousins fan. Like, he's great. He's great regular game situation, prime time situation. If he's in a late night game or in a very crucial game, he do not show up. But I feel like he will be a good coach. Same way Alex Smith was to Patrick Mahomes. When Patrick Mahomes came in, he didn't start his first year. He played the last couple games, but sitting behind a veteran quarterback learning from a veteran quarterback that's possibly on his way out, because I feel like they overpaid Kirk Cousins. But
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, for sure. Oh, no,
yeah,
for sure.
somebody but you sitting behind somebody that's been in the game, that knows regular season, that knows playoff. That you're sitting behind this person that, and you're learning and you're growing from a college level to an NFL level, because a lot of people feel like the college level should just automatically advance over to the NFL level, and it don't work that way. So you getting that knowledge from a quarterback that's been in the league, that knows what he's doing, at least in regular game, not in prime time, but at least in regular game, he knows how to take the game over. Um, I feel like learning from him, and you already have like, what they got the running back, Bijan Robinson back there to help him out. Um, I feel like it is a perfect situation for. I feel like it's a perfect situation for him to come into a situation where you don't know if this quarterback, first of all, he's still going through his injury. So you could possibly be the starter. But if not, you can still possibly learn from this starter who has been in the league a couple of years and possibly will get traded or retire soon. So I love the pick. I love the pick because the Falcons needed it.
Definitely needed it. And I will say I'm not a big Falcons fan, but I do think this makes them a bit more viable in an already very weak division. Um, so the next pick, you got the Bears coming back around again, right? Let me make sure I'm not skipping anybody. Yeah, the Bears at number 9. The Bears came back around again, and they went and grabbed uh, back-to-back Washington players. Rome Onunzo, I think is pronounced his name. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. Uh, who was one of the primary targets for Michael Penix Jr. And you just mentioned Michael Penix being that apprentice uh, under Kirk Cousins. I think it's going to be the same thing with Rome and Keenan Allen. Veteran receiver, um, that's just really going to show him the ropes. Obviously Keenan Allen will be the primary target for Caleb Williams. But I think there's a lot that Rome will be able to soak in. Keenan Allen, what I love about him, this guy, jump ball, he gets it. Love that about him. And I think Rome does this, he's the same thing. He's a contested catch wizard. He's up there. Um, you may need that a lot. I think you might need that a lot in these situations where you're not going to get that wide open a lot of the time. And so yeah, I think eventually he's going to be wide receiver number 1. But for now, he's going to learn.
To me, I think he's gonna be wide receiver number 3. Um, because they do still have DJ Moore, who had a fantastic year with him coming over with Justin Fields, because Justin Fields never really had a receiver to work with until DJ Moore got there. Um, and now them adding Keenan Allen, and now you got your rookie now. So I feel like he's gonna be slot, and it's gonna lead to a lot of opportunities for him, because now people are thinking, oh, let's double team Keenan Allen. Let's keep a spy out on DJ Moore, which is gonna leave Romeo to roam free. Was gonna leave Romeo to roam free. Now, my only problem is with this pick is that they don't have an offensive line. So now these people got to get open soon. They can't take their time to get open. And like, I know you could throw it up with Keenan Allen. You could throw it up with Romeo. You give a little time, DJ Moore will be open. But that's the thing. You got to give the time. If you don't give the time, And that's what the Bears don't have, the offensive line to give the time. And maybe later on in the draft, they get somebody that can really help them out, or maybe they'll
Yep.
get somebody at a free agent that'll really help them out. But offensive line is still the struggle for me. But I do like the pick because you're giving weapons. You're giving weapons to this quarterback that you feel is going to lead your franchise, is going to be your franchise player. You're giving him weapons. Unfortunately, you didn't
Yep.
give Justin Fields those weapons. And I feel like you could have done more if you would have kept Justin Fields. You could have drafted better
Yeah.
to
So,
help. But I feel like the weapons that the Bears have, they can be successful if that offensive line decides to come together and be like, let's protect this quarterback.
I think he's gonna be opposite Keenan Allen. DJ Moore shorter. I think it's be more. I think he's gonna be more of a Y. You know, in the slot, off the line, so he can have that separation at the start. I think he's a big guy who can do contested catches. So I see him being able to do an inside slant. I mean, sorry, a slant from the outside. Um, or a quick fade, you know, where receivers or cornerbacks going to put their hands on you, but he can still physically fight off that, and it's going to free up DJ Moore to go against slower non-handsy DBs. So I think a lot of it is matchup. I talk about that with Debo, and I feel like move Debo around a bit. Debo, stop going at the line of scrimmage because you're not winning off the line of scrimmage. You're not Ayuk, in this situation. Justin Jefferson. These guys can win off the line of scrimmage, move Debo around a bit. And I think DJ Moore will be able to flex and move around quite a bit in the Y position where you have X and the Z and the X and Keenan and Rome in those situations. So I think he might be. We'll disagree in that situation. I think he might be in terms of schematically, I think he'll be on the line with Keenan, opposite Keenan, or if they're running uneven sets, on the same side, things like that. I think that might be the case. Um, but yeah, it's a good pick. It's a good pick. Again, I think they're taking the Philly approach. Philly has decent tackle and stuff like that, but at the same time, just keep backing up, keep backing up, keep backing up. Jalen Hurts, and then somebody will get open. Just keep buying a bit more time. Somebody will get open. I think they might be taking that approach. And again, it's early in the draft. They may have
The
more,
problem.
something to kind of help them out a little bit later. Um, but moving on to number 10 though, man, JJ McCarthy. They need a quarterback. They needed a quarterback. Kirk Cousins is gone. They got the guy who probably of the quarterback so far picked, who has the least tape, shown of what he's capable of doing. He is a winner because they won the championship, obviously, and they probably spoke a lot to Jim Harbaugh and the coaching staff there. I don't know much about him, honestly. I was hoping Michigan won, but I don't know much about them, so I won't say too much and put my foot in my mouth. But I don't know what they truly plan on doing. They needed to address quarterback. They did that. A couple other needs, obviously offensive line, Kirk Cousins, things like that. And yeah, they have a lot more they need. That team has a lot more, and they need to do it quickly because they have superstars that are probably wanting to walk out before too long.
They definitely have superstars, and that's why I like the pick is because they they got superstars. They got the pieces. It's just something is missing. And I don't fully believe that it was the quarterback missing, but you losing Kirk Cousins. Like I said, I'm not a big Kirk Cousins fan.
You got to pick somebody. You got to pick a quarterback. You lost your
You
quarterback. You got to
yeah,
pick a quarterback.
you gotta pick what's best on the board. And you already lost Kirk Cousins. And I mean, I know your running backs isn't top of the line, but running backs didn't even get picked in the first round. So you still got a whole second round to pick running backs.
The value on the
Um,
running backs are so bad right now. Like it's Saquon talks about it all the time. So yeah,
yeah, and so I like the pick because it fills the need. It fills the need that they need, and it gives somebody to target Justin Jefferson. You know, the main person of the Vikings, and it just adds that extra element that could possibly be what Kirk Cousins was bringing you, or possibly be bring more than what Kirk Cousins was bringing you. So I like the pick. I like the pick. I give it a B.
yeah. It's just that pick, the following pick as well is that those are just not sexy picks. You got to pick them right. And the
Yeah.
following pick I'm talking about is the Jets. They came in at number 11. They picked the offensive tackle out of Penn State. I will not try to pronounce this guy's name. I'm so sorry. I will learn your name eventually. I promise. With you protecting the blind side of Aaron Rodgers when he comes back. You got to do it. You have what, one or two last hurrahs for Aaron Rodgers before he's out and he's done. So you have to win now. You got to do what you can do to keep him upright, keep him in the pocket. He's going to still try to be mobile. I think again, Achilles hard to come back from. But yeah, good pick, good pick. Not sexy, but good. Need it.
I feel the same way. Not sexy, but good. It is giving Aaron Rodgers the protection he need, and when you give Aaron Rodgers the smallest amount of time, and trust me, I'm a Cowboys fan. I know in the playoffs, you give Aaron Rodgers the smallest amount of time, he's gonna find somebody open. And them getting offensive line, I know they needed it. Like Zach Wilson wasn't it, but you get an offensive line with Aaron Rodgers and you got Garrett Wilson, yeah, you you're good. Like your defense is great. You
Yeah,
got
you
Sauce
got a good
Gardner.
defense. Yeah, pretty
You
good
got
defense.
Sauce
Yeah.
Gardner. Like
You
you
just
ain't
give
got
Aaron
no.
Rodgers some more time. You give Aaron Rodgers some
Yeah,
more
just
time with
give
the
Aaron Rodgers more time and you golden. So like you said, not a sexy pick, but I love it.
So I will say this about the next pick. Denver Broncos and Bo Nix. Now we talked about the Vikings. That's who I actually thought they were going to get. Bo Nix. Bo Nix played a lot of football. A lot of football. I mean, this guy, I swear, I thought I was watching him when I was in college. That's how long I feel like I've been watching this guy. And he, of course, he played for Auburn. Now he's, graduated from, he got drafted. Last team was Oregon. Um, I'm thinking in a situation where you lose a veteran quarterback like that, right? And you have talent that maybe wasn't out soon enough. You get a guy with the most tape, the most film, right? And that just knows how to play football. Who played in SEC, then played in the Pac-12. That's like, you just get that kind of guy. But they did. And they got JJ McCarthy. And then the Broncos, they got Bo Nix. And I think he's going to do exceptionally well under Sean Payton. The short reign of Russell Wilson, gone and forever to be a very bad stain on Sean Payton's coaching resume, and hopefully the Denver Bronco fans I know out there, they forget about this very, very soon. But I think Bo Nix is a good pick. They need a quarterback too. It's another one. 1, 2, 3. The last three picks, you have to pick these people. You have to pick these people. And so I expected them to address other needs later on, like offensive line, things like that. But they did pick who I thought was the best quarterback remaining.
And for me, I only like the pick because of the need of the quarterback. Because you need a quarterback. But to me, Russell Wilson was not the problem. He never had a number one receiver. Jerry Judy or Cortland Sutton is a number one receiver. There's in no league will you ever when you think of number one receivers, like if you was to pick your first draft of receivers, like you was to go 32 teams of receivers, and you was to pick all the receivers, I don't even think that Cortland Sutton or Jerry Judy would be in that 32. Possibly, depending on who you are, but the receiver help isn't there. The offensive line help isn't there. And the only thing that is going for them is Patrick Surtains. To me, the only thing that's going for them is Patrick Surtains. So they need a lot of needs. Russell Wilson helped them get to where they at in the draft pick. Because I feel like without Russell Wilson, their draft pick will be way earlier than what it is right now.
I agree.
So
I agree.
I feel like you getting the best person on the board will help. Yes, the best person on the board will help. But this season for him, I don't feel like it's going to be the season that people are thinking, because there's a lot of, they need a lot at the Broncos. They need a number one who they didn't get in the offseason. They need help on the offensive line who they wasn't getting. The defense is solid. The defense don't give up too much. I watched the Broncos. They don't give up too much. You're not finna score a lot. You're not finna just beat. You're not just finna beat Sutton on anything. You're not finna beat the Broncos defense, but that offense, they need help, and the quarterback is not the help that they need. They need a running
So,
back, because I can't even name their running back.
here's what I'm thinking about the Broncos in general. I think this is a longer play. I don't think this is like, oh, we're players very next season. I don't think so. Um, I think it's I got the guy out who probably was a bad apple in the program, and now I'm now installing my program in Sean Payton, basically speaking for him. So I think this is like, okay, I'm gonna pick my guy. I don't expect, depending on how bad my division is, we may squeak in with a wild card, maybe not. But I don't expect to make waves with what we have now. They will probably address O line. They will probably address D line. They'll at some point, probably free agency, address the running back. They probably won't draft one. I don't think the running back's too strong this time around. But I do think, they needed a quarterback, and they're going to do what they can do to protect that guy, because they have to keep him upright. They don't want him, I think, to be shell shocked like some rookie quarterbacks are after they get pummeled left and right, up and
Yeah.
down. I won't name any names, but they play for Carolina. Um, yeah, I'm excited. I wonder how he's going to play this year. But uh,
Like I said, I like the pick, best pick on the board, best pick on the board. And if you're thinking in rebuild year as a Denver Bronco fan, it's a great pick. Now, if you're thinking he's gonna take us, it's not it. You need way
He's not taking
more.
you nowhere. Taking you
Yeah,
to pick number 15 for next year, probably. Like,
yeah.
that's where he's taking you. Brock Bowers is the 13th pick, Raiders, and some people were like, "What in the hell?" But no, I will say I love the pick. Here's why I love the pick, and I know they don't have a quarterback. Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell like, "Well, you don't have a quarterback, whatever, whatever." Look, a solid tight end can make a quarterback good. If you have a tight end that nobody can freaking cover, you can be an average quarterback. You can be a below average quarterback and still do exceptionally well. I love the pick. Brock Bowers, big fan of the guy. Love UGA. Wanted to play for UGA when I was a kid. Wanted to go to school there for journalism. That is you don't. I mean, you have other needs as a Raider. You have to address the receivers. You have to address O line and cornerback and all these other things that you have to address. But Brock Bowers is available, and he's going to energize the team. And I know with that, and he's going to bring that same sort of defense, that same sort of mindset that the coach who's so defensive focused onto the offense. I think. I love it. I love it. He's going to be great. I'm mad that they got him and not the 49ers, who I know they would never going to be able to get them, but I'm just still jealous.
Yeah. I'm mid with it. And the reason why I'm mid with it is because I know the need for running back that they have. Because I I don't hate Gardner Minshew. Trust me, I've seen Gardner Minshew when he was with the Jaguars. Gardner Minshew was a decent quarterback. I seen him when he came in for Jalen Hurts. He he went toe to toe with that. So I don't I don't disregard Gardner Minshew because I feel like he could. You give him the right people around him, he could be a great quarterback. You got Devontae Adams, now you got you a tight end. But the problem is, what else do you have after that? Outside of the defense, because the defense, I feel like the Raiders defense, Max Crosby is
Yeah, yeah.
is
He invited he
beautiful.
what they say. He invited to the cookout.
He is beautiful as a defensive player. Like they defense is great, but when Devontae Adams and this tight end is all you have,
But
the
that's what I'm
defense is
saying. That's what I'm saying. Like you don't need to get a running back right now. Like nobody should.
yeah.
Yeah, you don't need the running back. You don't.
You don't need a running back right now. You really like you bringing him in. The tight end is bringing extra dimension to Gardner Minshew
Right,
throwing to
right,
Devontae Adams.
right,
Now
right.
you can't just like focus on Devontae Adams because, and I feel the same way because that's how I felt about Jake Ferguson this year. Like you can't just focus on CD Lamb because you got Jake Ferguson to worry about.
Right.
And I feel like that about all tight ends. Same with Kelsey. Him getting the receiver that we gonna talk about that later. But you it's just bringing an extra
Sheath.
dimension to the game. And I feel like if they get like I said, if they get a running back to help out Gardner Minshew with these this receiver and this tight end, or
Yeah.
even just an extra receiver, I feel like it would help.
I think
But
they'll address running back very soon. I mean, you can't throw the ball 40 times and win. Not those
exactly,
quarterbacks at least. That's not gonna happen. So I believe they
exactly.
will
Not
address
Gardner
quarterback.
Minshew.
Yeah.
He's not finna take over the game with him his arm alone.
Yeah.
But when, like I said, when you get people that you can throw a screen to or throw a slant to, and they get yards for you, I feel Gardner Minshew is made for that. He's made for that. He's not typically to me. He's not a game manager, but he's not also a game changer. He's like right there in the middle. Like you give him the opportunity, he'll make a game for you. But if you ain't got the opportunity for him, if you ain't got the people around him, he ain't gonna do it.
He'll be a pretty good distributor, I think. Especially with his new acquisition, the Raiders' new acquisition, and then Brock Bowers. Um, questionable pick here as a guy from New Orleans, the 14th pick. And again, maybe this is a situation where hey, we need to start planning for the future. Current quarterback situation in New Orleans is Derek Carr. Backup quarterback. I have to look it up and see. I have no idea. I'll keep it real. But they did go get an offensive tackle out of Oregon State. Um, this is a depth situation for the Saints. I know the team well, and I know their current tackle, uh, Ramchek. He's always injured, always a lot of the time, and I think they have a lot that they need to address, but this is just hey let's get a tackle, let's get the offensive line, let's try to invest as much as we can into Derek Carr because he had a very good season one time with the Raiders. And we're all in on him. And so yeah, I mean that makes sense. It's a good pick. I think it's a solid pick for them. I'm not. It's not a sexy pick. I'm not super hyped about the pick. I do support the team because it's good for the city. Um, but I think it is what it is. They paid Derek Carr. They got rid of Winston and everything like that. So they just need to make sure he stays upright and he gets time to throw the ball. We'll see how he pans out. They probably still try to search for like how great of a tackle Teron Armstead was. And they should have paid that guy before he went over to the Dolphins. Um, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's a depth situation now with Ramchek always injured with his knee and stuff like that. And I think they picked
Mhm.
last year, 2 years ago. I think they might have picked another tackle, and I'm not sure he's panning out too well.
To me, I like the pick. I like the pick. I I'm not the hugest Derek Carr fan, but I do understand his situation with the last team. And so, me understanding his situation with the Raiders and not having any help over there, um, I do understand it. Get him some help, get him some time, and this man can perform. But that's the problem. You need to give him some help and some time. He got Rashid Shaheed, who came on last year and amazed me because I was not expecting Rashid Shaheed to come on like that. But he got some help over there. Alvin Kamara. You're getting some space for Alvin Kamara to even if it's a screen, this guy can pull. This guy can pull. And then that's the thing I like about Alvin Kamara is that he can get yards after the catch. He can get yak he can get yak yardage, but if you're running a screen and this person is not blocking or this person is injured, as you said, it's not gonna help. So
Yeah.
I like it. I like it because they got weapons on offense. Now you giving Derek Carr the time to use those weapons, and that's why I like the pick.
Yep, yep. So yeah, again, invested. Probably peaking too loud, but investing in your guy. You paid the money. You shipped out everyone else, and that was in camp out, and so now you gotta put your money where your mouth at, and your mouth is planted. I guess I won't. That would be kind of weird to say, but your eyes are set on offensive insurance. Uh, the next pick we finally got defense. Next pick.
The first
Latu,
defensive player.
and rightfully so as an edge rusher when we know this is very important in the league. It's everyone watching the draft live. People called it questionable because the guy in a lot of the GMs um, and teams draft board they had him off of the draft because he had a questionable neck injuries, and they wondered if the next injury would he even be able to play football anymore, and he was told to medically retire from playing football when he was in college, but he kept going, and now he was the first guy off the draft, and when he got drafted he praised God for that, and so that's I don't know much about this particular player. um I'd be honest with you, I didn't do my homework for this guy. But seems like people raved at him being very high motor, just nonstop. They last year they picked their quarterback, right? It was Colts picking
Richardson.
Richardson, uh, the famous rapper. And now they go defense, and so again they have a long term. They have a bunch of other stuff that they decided to sort of focus on. Re-signing and Blackman and Michael Pittman Jr. and Kenny Moore in the receiving group in secondary respectively. Um, and so having secondary kind of there, and how about get an edge rusher to help the secondary out and make sure the quarterback doesn't hold the ball for too long. And this guy has a motor from what I've seen from the tape that showed during the draft. So, I'm indifferent about the pick. There's probably other edge rushers in that class, but I don't get paid the big bucks, so they know better than I do. There's probably other edge rushers I would have probably been safer with than a guy who could possibly not play if something bad happens. And that's anybody. You put your body on the line, but he has a medical situation, and that's the number one pick for that team. So
Yeah, yeah, and I get that. I like the pick because I see his hand work. Like a lot of people don't understand when it comes to defense. That handwork is something about it that gets you loose, and something about somebody that is told like you can't you can't do this thing. Get them motivated to show you that they can. There's been plenty of people like I'm a WWE fan. Roman Reigns had a whole thing cancer, fighting cancer, all that kind of stuff. Well, so like something about those people that's like this this one moment can change everything when you're trying to show everybody like I'm still worth it and I still got it. And that's why I like it. He's the first defensive guy to come off the board. Like you said, there's other defensive guys that could have possibly win, some stronger guys. But looking at his handwork, like I said, I don't know as much. I know probably about as much as you do about this guy. But from what I've seen, his handwork is pretty good. And once your handwork is good, getting off the line, making sure that these big offensive linemen ain't putting their hands on you,
Right, right,
and you get into the quarterback, I like the work, and I like the fact work ethic is what a key word for me. When your work ethic is higher than what people expect of you, you're going to continue that idea in your head to keep on with that work ethic. So I like the pick. Like I said, I mean something on the board that you need. Indy don't need a running back. They don't need a quarterback.
right.
I mean, it's something that you need. Like you said, it could have been other defensive ends that or edge rushers that could have came through, but
Yeah. So
when you look at his mentality,
right.
it it changes how you think of it.
Yeah. So again, you mentioned it. You know, he has a couple moves in his arsenal, set you up, get around you, and make you think something's coming, and he does something else. So he has all the moves in his arsenal already, and so that's gonna be fun to see. Um, the safe bet would have been interior defensive line, and that was the next pick. So we didn't have defense for a while, and then we get two defensive picks back to back. And this is a guy who I do love, Ryan Murphy, second defensive tackle out of Texas. I've watched, we're in Texas right now, and watching, and I remember this guy in high school, because he played for DeSoto, if I'm not mistaken. And so I remember watching him play when he was in high school, and he's a junior out of Texas, and so now he's getting his big shot in the NFL. He was picked up. He was picked up by, let's see, the Seahawks, and so, uh, Murphy's explosive. He's been a pretty good defensive lineman for Texas. I see him being very very dominating in the NFL. Um, he so in general, I think that team the I'm just trying to see who they have currently on the defensive line. So they did re-sign Leonard Williams, and yeah, I mean, I do think that is it's a good pick. I like him personally as a player. I don't know him personally, but I've seen him play in high school, and I've watched him play in college for quite a bit. I think he's a very solid player. And Brian Murphy, the second.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely like the pick too. Um, it's definitely a need because the Seahawks need defense. They need defense. I mean, of course, there's other needs that they do possibly need. But I feel like as far as their needs, you still got a true number one receiver. You just need to get him involved. You got a decent quarterback in Geno. You just gotta really keep him basically,
You gotta protect him. You can't ask him to
yeah,
do too
and
much.
yeah, and you gotta keep him in tune with his receivers. The running back Walker is not that bad, like, but your defense, like you can't expect your offense to win any games if your defense ain't producing.
In
So
situations when you have a quarterback like Geno Smith, when they could do a little bit extra more than you expected them to do, and they can do it a lot worse too, you want to give them more opportunities, and so you need defense to come in and give that person more opportunities. So yeah, yeah, for sure. I
that's
like him a
that's why I
lot.
like the pick.
Uh, the trend of defensive players continued at 17. Dallas Turner, edge rusher, Alabama, and again, I go back to a couple picks before, but Latu, and I'm thinking like, yo, this dude was amazing. For Alabama, he was just a force, and I absolutely love that they went and got him the Vikings, that is, at number 17, uh, getting this edge rusher on defense. I think it'll be great. Turner, he for the most part, he's on fit very well into the Brian Flores' unit. He's an athletic freak. He's good. I don't know much about Latu, and he might be way better. But being an SEC baby, I did not like seeing Turner. I seeing Jaden Daniels run for his life. That's just what happened. I watched it. I'm like, dang. But Jaden Daniels was Jaden Daniels, luckily. But Dallas Turner, he's a freak. He's a freak, and I think he's gonna be a monster for Minnesota.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel the same way. Strong guy. I've seen him through the season just bowling over guys. Like this man is a bully on the field, and having a bully on the field is
Yep.
definitely something you need. And I love this pick. This for the Vikings, like it worked. It works for me.
So they went offense first pick, right? That they have for,
Yep,
and then they went defense this time around. I see the brains in that organization churning and figuring out.
and they
Um,
traded for this
they
pick,
traded for him,
so
so yeah,
you knew what they was looking for.
exactly. Um, so a couple of must needed picks, a couple of best on the board picks, and back to like a much needed pick. It was pick number 18. The Bengals said, you know what, we got to keep our guy healthy. And they said, let's go get a tackle. Georgia, Marius Mims was selected number 18 for the Bengals. And not much to say about it besides bravo, Bengals. Bravo, Bengals. Go get the Super Bowl, Joey B. Go get the Super Bowl. That's all I have to say. LSU guy. I want Joey B to win. Even though that's not my team, I want him to win. And same for Jamar Chase. And so yeah, and
I I
Georgia tackle like that. I love that.
I love the pick. I mean, you got rid of Joe Mixon, so you're gonna need somebody to help relieve that stress off of Joe Burrow because your running back is not gonna do it now. And you giving Joe Burrow the time he need to hit Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Come on now. This is hey,
T
because
Higgins wants out
that's the
though.
problem
You saw
with
that, or was that a fake report? T Higgins wanted out. Did you see
yeah,
that?
he wanted out, but he got franchise tag, so he's still
Yeah,
here.
yeah. I mean, sometimes they get super diva. Why it gets super diva, and but he loves football more than all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Um,
And like I said, it and one thing about Joe Burrow is that he's since he's been in the league, I if I'm correct, he has been the most pressured quarterback in the league. If I'm correct, like I could be
you may
wrong,
not
but
be
I
wrong on that one. You may
from
not
what
be
I
wrong on
heard,
that
he's
one.
the most pressured quarterback. So you getting somebody to give him a little protection, just a little, just a second of protection can change a whole. When you standing back and you looking and you have 2 seconds to get the ball off versus 3 seconds to get the ball off, there's a complete change. So I'm definitely needed. Definitely needed.
Yeah, and he's our best bet to take down Patrick Mahomes. So I'm all with it. Pick number 19. We have the Rams. selecting defense. Jared Verse out of Florida State, and I've seen a bit of footage from him, especially when they play LSU, things like that. He's a pretty good guy. Whether or not I feel strongly about the pick, I'm not too sure. I'm always okay with a defensive pick. I'm okay either way. Defensive pick, it makes sense, because defense is important for situations where you just need to get your offense more opportunities. They may not be dynamic enough to score very fast, and you need to stop dynamic offenses, and that makes sense in the division that they play in. So for them to go defense, understanding you got to go and see the 49ers twice. You gonna even though Purdy is not a mobile quarterback, that offense of juggernaut is crazy. And then Kyler Murray, who's a mobile quarterback, Geno Smith, who's a mobile quarterback, making those guys run for their lives is important. So I understand the pick, and some of it is like, okay, who do we play against? We just have to win our division, and setting that foundation there. So I like it.
Uh, I like the pick too. Like you said, I totally believe in if you got a quarterback, especially like you said, Brock Purdy, a young quarterback, he's still learning the game. I feel like after year 5 is when you're considered a veteran, where you could take on like, okay, this guy's gonna do this guy's gonna do that. But now we got film on Purdy, we got film on this person. Now we can figure out how we're gonna work the defense to work it out. I feel like this edge rusher will really help to disrupt quarterbacks.
Yep, I think so too. Um, so good pick there. Good pick at number 20, I think. And I'm just going just strictly off position wise. As far as Troy, this offensive tackle out of Washington, obviously, playing with Bo Nix. I say Bo Nix. Michael Penix Jr. Um, Troy, he's going to be playing. He's going to be playing with Russell Wilson. And so, look, here's the thing. We talked about the Bears not having an offensive line. And so now with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson over there, seemingly, they're not going to compete for a team for a number one spot. It is Russell. You have to protect the quarterback, and I don't know their offensive line state right now. This guy may be a starter, maybe a backup. We'll see. But having offensive tackle, obviously, if you pick them that high in the draft, they will come in and start. I think you got Russell for basically nothing, and same for Fields. So you might as well protect what you can. And so that again, offensive line, defensive line, I'm never against those picks, especially at the tackle and edge. The tackle and edge to me are they're basically chess pieces, and that's a good chess piece. That's just a good move in the game of chess.
Yeah. And to me, I feel like as much as I'm not a big fan of the Steelers, but um their defense is solid. It's solid. TJ Watt, when he's healthy, is a menace. And I feel like their biggest downfall was the fact that they had Mason Rudolph. I mean, they went through a multitude of quarterbacks back there, but
For sure.
but but now you're bringing in
Got some
top tier.
stability.
You're bringing in top tier Russell Wilson and also Justin Fields, top tier. You already got uh Pat Fryermuth. I know they don't use the tight end that much, but decent tight end. You got Pickens, Jordan Pickens on the edge, like he a big receiver, somebody to work with. And now you're giving two quarterbacks, not I don't care which one start, two quarterbacks that didn't have offensive line. You're bringing in the offensive lineman to help the already offensive line that they had. Remember, the Steelers were borderline not making it, and then they decided to figure it out with with a no no one really wants these quarterbacks as a starter and made it to the playoffs. So now you bringing in a true starter quarterback, and you're bringing and now you're giving him time to hit these receivers that the no name quarterback was working with. Come on, man. Yeah, it's got to be. It's a good pick to me.
Yep. Good job there. With the Steelers, just getting some foundation going. I do see, him definitely fitting right into that. Now the next pick is number 21. We have Chop Robinson and edge rusher out of Penn State. Um, this guy probably not going to be that star, but he, for situations, and they're trying to play against, they're trying to win against Patrick Mahomes. That's what's happening here. And what we saw with Patrick Mahomes, get this guy moving constantly. He's great when he moves, but at the same time, if you're able to keep pressure on him, this is a fresh leg kind of draft pick. The Dolphins, one of the best teams in the league last year. They fell apart a little bit, but still one of the best teams in the league overall, top to bottom. And so this is just depth situation. He's going to be a rotational guy most likely, and just a guy that will definitely be there to be a menace to opposing quarterbacks when people get tired. He's going to be a fresh leg. I see him as that kind of guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like I said, I don't love the pick. I mean, I feel like it was a good pick, and as far as needs, offense is flawless. Like, yeah, you do need a little bit of offensive line help. Not a lot, just a little.
You
But
touch offensive line or you touch tight end, you do something there.
yeah, but as far as a pick, it's not too bad because they need an edge rusher. That's what they need. Like I mean, they got Jalen Ramsey, a cornerback. I'm not too sure about the Byron Jones situation or the Xavier Howard situation or how that's going, but your
Yeah,
cornerbacks
yeah,
was your cornerbacks was good, your safeties was good, your linebackers is decent. So like I feel like the only thing you can beef up is your defensive line. So I like the pick just because it's what you needed.
yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's not a love, but it's what you needed.
100%. Again, some of the picks is who do we have to play? Who do we have to play? Um, and so with that, and this is a pick, the next pick, number 22 with the Eagles. Mitchell out of Toledo. That's CB1 right there. That's CB1, and they did a good job addressing a serious need in that defensive backfield. Picking up a cornerback, and this guy is A+ in all phases of that position. I think. Um, Looking at the tape, this you want some of these guys to fall far so your teams can pick them up, and clearly that wasn't going to be the case for us with the 49ers, and I think um, that's just a good pick for them, and that helps them out a lot in that secondary, because they couldn't cover anybody. They couldn't cover a cold child with a blanket. They were bad. No way. Yeah, they needed that. And when they lost Johnson, safety, who's with Detroit, and they lost CJ Gardner Johnson, and that attitude he brought, and they needed some more attitude. They needed and he played, but I think Mitchell's gonna be a stud. I'm not saying he's gonna be Sauce Gardner. Maybe we'll see. He's CB1. He's CB1 for sure.
Yeah. Now, me personally, I hate this pick. I hate this pick, and
Really?
that's because I'm a Cowboys
Oh.
fan. Yeah, so I'm gonna keep it real with y'all on this channel. I hate this pick because I'm a Cowboys fan, and I want them to get something that was not going to affect anything. Y'all went and got C.J. Gardner Johnson back on y'all team.
Yeah, they got him back. So
And the real struggle that I knew y'all had was James Bradbury. I knew he was the weak link, and now y'all got somebody to take that spot over. It's a beautiful pick for Eagles fans. A beautiful pick. I hate the pick. Beautiful pick for the Eagles.
hey, that's
Beautiful
the
pick.
objective opinion. I hate the pick. Beautiful pick. I hate the pick. Beautiful pick. Yeah, that's for sure. Again, that backfield is now much better. Um, Samuels have C.J. Gardner Johnson's number, obviously, but that 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 secondary is much better, I think. Next pick, number 23, Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU. I saw the guy play a lot of games. They needed this pick. Jacksonville Jaguars did. Calvin Ridley is no longer there, and he's lost him in free agent departure there. So they needed this pick, and Brian Thomas is a fast receiver. I don't know his 40 time. Um, I know he had like 17 tuds last year. Let me see. They have his 40 time here. 40 time. Brian Thomas. 4-3. I know he was fast. I knew he was fast. 4-3 is his 40 time, and good pick. Good pick. You need some weapons for they're all in on their quarterback, and you need some studs. And Calvin Ridley's not there anymore. So yeah.
Now this to me, this was one of the few picks that I felt like they went in the wrong direction. I felt like the Jacksonville Jaguars needed defense. They need defense to a very strong extent. Receivers, you have the receivers. They got backup receivers. They went and got Devin Duvernay from the Ravens. Like, you have receivers, so I feel like, yeah, like it would help. It would help, but I feel like you have plenty of receivers in your depth chart to work with, that you could have got a defensive player that can really impact your defense. Like, you got a decent defense, but you need that impact player on defense. And to me, they don't have that impact defensive player. And so that's one of the few picks I'm like, I feel like you could have did better.
Perhaps, yeah, for sure. That's probably something. Yeah, I think they have some defensive people right now that they sign veterans. They might can find something in the draft. I'm not sure. But Brian Thomas is an absolute stud. I think at 4-3-3. He probably was the next best receiver in there, and they had to replace that guy and Kelvin Ridley.
Yeah, I
Um,
understand that too.
Terrion Arnold was picked number 24 out of Alabama by the Lions, and Terrion Arnold. I'm sorry. Uh, you know, he's a tactician. He's good at his position, his field. Pretty high football IQ, I think, from watching him play at Alabama, in SEC ball. Just add another defender to that squad. We don't know if he's gonna be just that complete stud, but is Nick Saban defenders aren't bad at all, and so yeah, he's gonna come with a lot of football IQ, a lot of knowledge of the game, having played at Alabama, and That's the second cornerback pick in this draft so far, and I expect more to come off, especially soon in the later rounds. But I it's okay. It's okay pick, I think.
Yeah, I can't pin
They needed a cornerback. They needed a cornerback for
yeah,
sure.
I can't really pinpoint what Detroit needs because they were great this season. Like, I'm not a big fan of Jared Goff, but they were great this season. I feel like a lot of their downfall came from the coach trying to take too many opportunities where you could have just kicked the field goal. So it's not hard for me. It's hard for me to pinpoint what they fully needed on the team. I mean, I was
They needed
upset that
defense.
they
They needed quite a. They need defense. They need defense. For the most part, they
yeah,
need to. Their offense is fine. They
it's
need defense.
solid. It's solid. And the thing is, I hated that the Cowboys traded down, but decent. It was a decent pick. Like I said, he's a great cornerback, and I feel like he can help the team out. But like I said, I just don't know too much about the Lions to really pinpoint what they really need because they was a great football team this year.
I expect them to get a couple different needs addressed later on in the draft. They're probably going to hit defense probably three more times. They probably need some defense so they can stop taking some chances. To be honest, on offense, and that's clear sight that clear sign that they need some defense. They need some defensive help. Um, when you have a very super solid off defense, you're like, okay, I'll kick the ball, I'll take the points, whatever. My defense is that. So, and the coach is the coach. That's his attitude. But again, they needed to address cornerback. They will address safety soon, I think, in the draft or in the offseason. They have to. Uh, Number 25, you have Jordan Morgan out of Arizona, who will be playing with Jordan Love at Green Bay. Offensive line, interior offensive line, I believe. This pick was. He's actually a tackle. Sorry about that. Um, Makes sense. Another one of those, not much to say about it besides good job. Uh, do a bad job because I know we will see you sometime in the playoffs or sometime in the season. But good luck this season because you'll be needed and you'll be that blind side protector.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I'm not a big Green Bay fan too. They love to play on the Cowboys. Beat us out of the playoffs this year, but it's not a lot that they need. They're a young team that's learning to play together and playing together as a young team is is amazing. And like I said, it's not too much I could say about that pick. Like it was a good pick. Like you giving Jordan Love some time to work with those receivers and they just got Aaron Josh Jacobs. They I like it. I like it.
Yep. And so continuing with that, the next pick was another offensive line. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They went interior offensive line. That's where I got mixed up a bit in the previous selection. They went with a center. They selected. I just kind of brushed over it. Graham Barton out of Duke. Now this pick, I think is just simply to alleviate pressure from Baker Mayfield. Baker, you don't have to throw the ball 50, 11 times. Let's run the ball. Let's have a center that can help with that run game. Let's have a center that can help orchestrate the line to keep Baker Mayfield upright. That is what this pick is for. And Baker did a great job last season. He has rightfully played himself into a contract. So congrats to him. And this is insurance spot here. So not a left tackle, but an interior lineman to say, okay, let's run the ball a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like it too. You just you you just made sure that Mike Evans is gonna stay there. Um you give a little time to Baker Mayfield to hit Mike Evans. Like it, it was a solid pick for me. Like There's not too much. The defense of the Tampa Bay has been good since before Tom Brady. The defense for Tampa Bay been good since Jameis Winston, and so they ain't got too much to worry about as a defense. What you got to worry about is that offense, and you protecting Baker Mayfield for him to hit those targets. It good to me.
Yep. At 27, you have Darius Robinson, DE out of Missouri. I watched them play a few times. They play LSU. I think I was at walk-ons watching them play LSU, and they were giving LSU some fits. And the Cardinals picked them up at number 27, Darius Robinson. And I think again, this is one of those situations where okay, who do we play against twice a year? All right, we play against the 49ers. They excel at the run game. They do this good zone option situation. They have some misdirection stuff. Let me get a smart guy who can do pretty good at setting the edge in that run situation. At defensive end, he's a good edge setter. And he won't be good Michael Parsons edge rusher type of situation, but he'll be a good edge setter, I think. And this is again, who do we play against? How do we beat this team at least once? Still want it and move up in the standings if we can.
Yeah, I feel the same way about it too. He's a speed edge rusher guy, so it's not like you're not finna get too many runs outside of him. Um, Good setting the edge. I mean, you bought a good receiver to help out with the offense, so bring somebody to help out with the defense. I like the pick. I have no complaints about it.
Good pick overall. Again, this is setting up for future. Good job. Now, man, this next pick. This is the one that was like, bro, the rich gets richer and richer and richer. Bruh. Now, what's the crazy thing about this? You have Buffalo sitting at 28, correct? This is correct, right? Sitting at 28. Having lost Stephon Diggs,
Having lost Gabe Davis.
having lost Gabe Davis, you have the worst receiving core right now. The worst. And so you have who's been the talk of the town, Xavier Worthy out of Texas. He's the second Texas guy to come off the board. Receiver now, number 28 to the Kansas City Chiefs because they traded down with the Buffalo Bills to pick this guy up. This guy, if you remember the combine, he ran so fast. I think his feet still it's on like blazing on fire right now. That's how fast he ran. He was, and and you had a bunch of veteran receivers come out of the woodwork talking about like, oh, speed doesn't mean anything. This, and that. Sure, it doesn't, but we all get hyped by the 40 metric. We all get hyped by it. And look, he was decent and he was good in college too. It wasn't like he was some bum buster dude who was not good. He was good. And so, because he was good and he's fast, the Chiefs decided to go get him. And now, again, I'm hoping Joey B beat the brakes out of them in the playoffs so we never have to see him again because the rich gets richer. I love it. I love the pick. They needed a receiver because their receivers, I mean, how good Patrick Mahomes is and how good Andy Reid is at scheming and Patrick Mahomes is as feeding the ball. They decided to go MIA sometimes, and so they went and got a receiver, and they got a pretty damn good one, I'd say.
Beautiful pick. Beautiful pick. Like you thinking like, oh, okay, this past season, your only really weakness was your receivers dropping the pass. Now your best receiver, Rice, getting in trouble in Dallas, you don't understand. I mean, there's no possibility. We don't know what's gonna happen fully with him. All right. But now you get in Marquise Brown from Arizona, speed guy, you know, getting his way. And then now you get Xavier Worthy, a speed guy that's his 40 done broke what anybody has ever came through. in the NFL has ever ran. So now you thinking of, remember when Patrick Mahomes had Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, that's what they say. They say this guy might be basically
You remember when
Tyreek
Patrick
Hill now.
Mahomes had Tyreek Hill,
Yeah,
and now he got Marquise Brown, who is not as fast as Xavier Worthy, but have his speed. And now, and you still have Rice. We don't know what's happening with Rice, but you still got Rice. Not to mention Travis Kelce. So therefore, you got to worry about the two speed people. Rice, who was the main guy, because the only one that was catching the
I'm
ball for Patrick
disgusted. I'm
Mahomes.
disgusted.
You got to guard all of them plus Patrick Mahomes. Not to mention Isaiah Pacheco.
All right, here's what we gotta do.
This was probably the best pick in the draft to fit with Patrick Mahomes.
I'm just hoping. Somebody, Baltimore, Bengals, Buffalo. Even though Buffalo, I don't know why. Miami, somebody beat this guy because why? Why would you? Why would you let this happen? Why would you let this? This is a power up. This is the Sonic Supersonic now. This is the Mario uh fire flower now. Like this is the Super Saiyan supercharging the Chiefs. Now they're Super Saiyans. All of them. All of them. Man, I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Beautiful pick.
And I don't like it begin. I mean, you guys may not know. I'm a 49er fan. We cannot beat that team. That's just what we can't do. We can't beat that team. And I just need somebody in the AFC to knock that team out so my team can win. That's it. Tyler Guyton, number 29, out of Oklahoma. I'm gonna let you talk. That's a Cowboy pick. I looked at my timeline on X and Facebook. Cowboy fans said good pick. But
It's needed.
okay,
It's needed. We've lost Tyler Smith and we've lost Tyron Smith and Tyler Biotish. All right. So uh us talking about Jordan Morgan, I mean not Jordan Morgan, Graham Barton, I thought that's where we was going. Well, we over here trading back, so we can't even get these guys. But a big guy, out here, really guarding out there to take over Tyrod Smith's spot. We can bring Tyler Smith in. We've been doing it. Somebody to help. I mean, give protection to Dak so that he can get, because it's not like we got running backs now. I mean, I heard we finna get Zeke back. I don't know if that's true or not,
he's
but
back. He's gonna be back. No,
but
he's that X that just got the good poom poom. You just got to bring it back.
hey, but we, like I said, we need somebody to relieve Dak from everything that he's going through. Like the run game needs to relieve Dak from passing too much, because I feel like we're passing the ball too much, and when we pass more than we run, we typically lose the game. When we run more than we pass, we typically win. Um, but even if we are passing, if Dak get that time to where CD Lamb can produce, can get open, because CD Lamb getting open is definitely a win for us, because he's definitely a good yards after catch guy. He's definitely a yak guy. If we bring back Brandon Cooks, good yak guy. Jake Ferguson, good yak guy. But we need that protection. And we done lost two of our big protection people, Tyler Smith, Tyron Smith, and Tyler Biotish. So I like the pick. So that's what I gotta go with. It's a decent pick.
All right, y'all got some more gaps to fill up, but again, any offensive line when you have a quarterback that you think could be okay if you just put him in the right positions, just like having a quarterback who maybe need more opportunities to excel, so that you go defense. Those are all good selections. Like I don't know much. I'll let you speak on that because you're an avid Cowboy fan, passionate Cowboy fan. Um, yeah. So I will see. We'll see. There's a lot more draft left, so we'll see what else they get. Pick number 30, you had Nate Wiggins out of Clemson. selected by the Baltimore Ravens. And I'll tell you what, Baltimore, they love physical defensive guys. And he'll put his hands on you. And I think he's gonna they got some smooth route runners in the NFL, but I think he'll be able to be very tough and be with them. That defense already a good defense, already a damn good defense, and he's gonna learn a lot. He's gonna be very well in his learning capabilities. Will have to stand out because he's gonna have to learn fast. And but he's because it's going to be a lot of teaching going on with how good that defense is. A lot of good teachers that'll be around him, and it's been the culture and nature of that team for quite a while. And so I think it's just let's shore up a bit more. I don't know if they truly needed a cornerback. Uh, I think they probably should have got a receiver. Here's a one time I'm thinking like, why didn't you get a receiver? You got a cornerback and you already had a very damn good defense, or maybe I don't know, offensive line. I don't know, something like that. But you got a cornerback, and they just love defense, and so you know what? They sticking to who they are as a team for decades. We've known that, and I think he'll fit in because that team breeds Hall of Fame defensive players.
Yeah. And I agree with that. They love defense. One thing I do know about him is he's not a come up to make the tackle kind of person on the running back. Yeah, he's physical. He'll get his hands on the receiver. He'll bring the receiver down. Him getting off the receiver to get to the running back is is probably not his strongest suit. But going over to the Ravens, you're gonna learn that soon. That's one thing that they
Yeah,
strive on is rallying to the ball. When they get to the ball, you're gonna get down. Like
yeah,
it's not
yeah.
you don't get extra yards after you've been touched. Like that, it don't work like that. Not with the Ravens defense. And I feel like he's gonna learn that, especially like going into training camp and your first person to tackle is Derrick Henry. Like when you so like they
Yeah,
I feel like it was a good piece because you already got added Derrick Henry onto your team. You got Zay Flowers, um, or yeah, Zay Flowers. You got. I mean, yeah, a receiver would help, but I feel like the strength of the Ravens is the defense, and they feel like they just need that one person that's going to cover to bring, like I said, just extra time for Lamar Jackson to learn to be a pocket passer. Because the more that you feel like you have trust in your defense, the more you feel like, okay, I can sit back and learn this pocket passing. And
I
if I
agree.
need to get out, I will get out.
I agree. It's the Joey B mindset. Sometimes he'll take a sack on third down just to try to get a play, just to try to take a bigger play because he believes his defense is going to be able to stop anybody on offense. And so yeah, I think it's a good pick. Again, he's fast. He's athletic. He's a great cover cornerback. He's a great cover cornerback, and I think him being able to just blanket anybody that he's up against is needed. And so if you have a cornerback that can shut down the one side of the field, yo, that just excels. That just helps the overall defense so well. I think so. But like you said, he's not gonna tackle, but he's gonna cover. He's a physical receiver. He's fast. He can cover. A physical cornerback. He's fast and he can cover.
But he'll get there with the Ravens. I'm pretty sure he'll get there. He'll be a tackling cornerback by the end of the season.
And then we have just a few more picks to kind of really talk about. An interesting pick, which I started to believe was going to happen. I didn't know it was going to be this guy, but my team 49ers at pick number 31 went and selected a receiver, Ricky Pearsall out of Florida. And I spent a lot of time watching him play in SEC ball. And then, especially after the pick happened, I was like, let me go to YouTube right now and just look up all the stuff I can look up of this guy. And right now, I already think he's on. And I'll tell you why I think this pick happened. Too much talk out with, and not enough talk if you think about it from this side, but talk about Debo being shipped off and Brandon Ayuk not being signed yet. Um, it makes sense to go receiver, and it's a business after all. You put pressure on those guys. I think you're like next man up. Well, you are a stud, but next man up. Especially in a situation where it's a copycat league, and who I think they're copying off of in this situation is the Rams, and being able to have a guy that can get into the slot and get open in the middle of the field with great separation. And Ricky Pearsall can definitely get separation in the middle of the field, especially from off the line and just beating nickelbacks, even beating your number one when you put them in a situation where they don't know if you're going to go out or in. You're that shifty. You're that much of a route runner. And I've said this to you before. I love Debo. Debo's not a route runner. He's not. He has pretty good quickness and top end speed. But I'm not. He's not good at just being able to run a route that just like I don't know which way you're about to go. But for Debo, if he goes one direction, you may not be able to catch him. And when he gets going, and if you do catch him, you better be ready to take a hit because he's gonna put one on you. That's Debo, and I think Ricky Pearsall, um, this dude can just get He can get separation, uh, through the seam, through the slant, through the deep end. Do the flag route, 7 routes, all that. He can get separation. He can do 7 yard hitches and then bend a little bit, and then now he's taking it far. And then Debo can do that as well. Debo can do that as well. But I do think this the whole route tree is there with Ricky. The whole route tree is there. And now do I think they're gonna ship off Debo and whatever Ayuk? They want them all. They want them all. And then Ricky, with Jawan Jennings was our superstar when it came down to the Super Bowl for the most part on the receiver side this past year. But obviously, you want a little bit more dynamic and explosiveness. You want to be able to, and then with Brock Purdy does well where in the middle of the field. And again, this is just them adding layers to their already complex offense that people really can't keep up with. Brock Purdy does well throwing the ball into the field, middle of the field. You have another receiver that does well at separating in the middle of the field. Um, that's the second one on top of Ayuk, who's also does well with deep ends and stuff like that, and flag routes and things like that. So I like the pick. I don't love the pick because to me that pick also says, what's happening with Ayuk? What's happening with Debo? What's going on? Are we going to ship those guys off for draft collateral or for players? I don't know. Um, Shanahan believes he can make gold out of anybody. So with his offensive mind, so good pick. I think. Like I said, I try to quickly watch as much tape once the pick happened of him. I didn't expect it to be him. I did remember him playing LSU a couple times. Um, there's a lot that the 49ers need, and I just didn't think that was going to be. I'm thinking they can figure out what's going on with Debo and Ayuk. They can get that going. I figured they'd probably touch cornerback and linebacker desperately before they touch receiver. But we don't know what's going on the negotiation standpoint. We don't know who's not happy, who's happy, that sort of thing. So if they're miles apart, it makes sense. And if Brock Purdy loves to throw in the middle of the field, that makes sense. Otherwise, Keon Coleman's there. This is a big receiver that can go over the top. I love Keon Coleman, but again, Brock Purdy loves to throw in the middle of the field. So you go get a guy like that.
Yeah. And I like the pick. I mean, I like the pick, and despite of not liking 49ers. Of course, any Cowboy fan will know why we don't like the 49ers. But um, the reason why I like the pick is because one thing I have noticed in the 49ers, at least just last year, when Deebo Samuels is not getting the ball, when Christian McCaffrey is not running how you're expecting him to have the game that he's having, and George Kittle doing the thing, whatever, sometimes he just don't really show up. One thing about Brandon Ayuk is that he was always open. When everybody else was not showing up, he was always open. So now I'm thinking like, okay, now you gotta watch out for Debo. Now you gotta watch out for Brandon Ayuk, who used to always just somehow get open. You still got George Kittle to worry about because even though he hasn't been as much as an impact as Kelsey has been the past couple years, he's still an impact on the game.
Yeah, he's
If
still an
it's
all pro.
blocking,
He's still an all pro
yeah,
tight
if
end.
it's blocking or if it's like that one catch that just kind of changed the game, because there's been a plenty of them where it's just that one catch against the Cowboys where he bobbled the ball but caught it and got the extra yardage he needed. I feel like this Ricky will be that one person that opposite, like, okay, Brandon Ayuk isn't open, Debo isn't open, Kittle isn't open, McCaffrey isn't working. Now we got somebody that's probably on your third cornerback or on your linebacker or on your safety that's going to get open. And
Yeah,
that's what I feel like he's going to bring to the team, and that's what I think they saw when they picked that pick.
yeah, it's matchup. It's matchup at this point. 1 and 2 cornerbacks covering wide receiver 1 and 2. I told you a while back I love Debo being able to move and get those matchups inside, nickelback, things like that. If they say, you know what, no, we're gonna put our number 2 on him, our number 1 on him, well, now you gotta worry about this guy. I just hope and pray that they do address much needed things later on in the draft. If you don't touch you don't touch the cornerback position. If you don't address that or the linebacker position, we have a gaping hole at linebacker. Gaping one. Please, just do me a solid one. The next 7 picks should be linebackers. I don't care if it's only 7 rounds in the draft. We need defense. Seriously, I mean, and we can use some offensive line too. Honestly, I didn't necessarily think we needed to get a receiver. We could probably find one of free agents. Undrafted signees will be big. I think you could find somebody there. I mean, again, we're looking for someone to do this a little bit more production than Juwan Jennings. A little bit more. That first, I don't know. But they've done well. Final pick of the draft, number 32, another receiver coming off the board, Xavier Legette, Carolina. Questionable pick by Carolina to pick a receiver. And I looked at the draft boards and the draft analysis. They said they needed receiver. They said they needed this. I don't know what's going on. Why I didn't watch him too much with Bryce Young, but when I did watch him, he couldn't stay upright, or he could not stay in the pocket because he was being haunted by the defense. I'm not sure what that means. Them picking a receiver first round, and I have to check the roster a bit more. And pardon me for being ignorant to the fact that I thought when you can't stay upright, that means you have a terrible offensive line. That's just what I thought. What do you think, Q? What do you think about this pick and what's happening and why they went receiver?
Carolina need a line.
Okay, there we go.
Carolina
They're trying
need
to
a
sell
line.
tickets there.
First of all, their offensive line is suffering. The offensive line is suffering. Like, I don't know how you expect Bryce Young to come in and be the quarterback that you need when he say hut 2 3 seconds and defenders are in your face. I don't know how you expect that to work. Like, it doesn't work like that. But their number 1 receiver was a number 3 receiver in Minnesota, Adam Thielen.
Adam
Like
Thielen was
you're
number 3 in your mind?
yes, Adam Thielen was number
I
3.
thought he was number 1 his when Justin Jefferson's rookie year. I thought he was
Now
number 1.
I feel like as soon as Justin Jefferson got established, it was Justin Jefferson. It was
No,
and
I get
Adam
you're
Thielen
right.
was
It
an
was Justin
afterthought.
Jefferson, but I do think they schematically still ran him in the number 1
I
spot.
mean, they probably schematically did it, but Kirk Cousins schematically didn't throw it to him. He just he was a red zone threat. Yeah, Adam Thielen was a red zone threat. But before the red zone, Adam Thielen was not considered. Like
Yeah, he wasn't he's not a deep threat at all
yeah,
either.
he wasn't a target in the regular field. In red zone, yeah, him and Kirk Cousins will hit up real good in the red zone, but outside of the red zone, Adam Thielen was not the guy. And the thing is, now your number one receiver is Adam Thielen, which means if Adam Thielen was number 2 or number 3, because he was not number 1 when Justin Jefferson came over and took over, that means you do not have a number 1. So you don't have an offensive line, you don't have a number 1 receiver, and your quarterback is struggling. Not to mention your defense isn't great either. Like the only thing that you can think about on their defense is J.C. Horn, who's been hurt. So like
That's
they
true.
need
Yeah,
a lot.
they
So
do. They do.
I can understand the receiver pick because you're not going to go running back because they don't have a running back either. Because I think it's Chuba
Yeah,
Hubbard.
yeah. No, no
You're not
one,
going to
no
go
one's
running
going
back.
running back this early. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. There's plenty. Like I said, if you want running backs, you could get them second round or third round because ain't
Or a
nobody
drafted free
really
agent.
thinking.
Honestly, no one's thinking. Yeah,
Yeah, no one's thinking running back. Um, but you need a lot. Honestly, what you mainly need is offensive line because
They did sign in the offseason a couple of offensive linemen. I think it was like 1 tackle, two interior linemen. And let me look it up real quick. I should probably have some of this. They signed 2 guards, Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt, as well as offensive tackle Yosh Nijman. And so they signed some veterans, I believe, in this situation.
well, like I say, they need help. Like, and if they did that, that's
And
good for them because they needed offensive alignment, but they did need a true
they need a
at
vertical
least
threat. Based on what you're telling
yeah
me, they need a
at
vertical
least
threat.
yeah, they need a threat to where he can at least draw extra attention. Like, okay, well, if he come through, maybe we should bring in a linebacker. Maybe we should bring in a safety. And even if Adam Thielen is the one bringing in the extra people, you need somebody on the other side that's going to get open. Because it's not like your tight end is known. Your tight end
Yeah.
isn't like the biggest known tight end.
Mm.
You're like I said, your running back isn't like the only person I can really think of, and like I said, sorry Carolina fans, y'all probably know y'all full team, but only person I really know on the defense is J.C. Horn, and I know he stayed hurt or he's been hurt his past couple of the season, so they need a lot for Bryce Young to succeed. And I feel like getting a receiver is a step in the right direction, especially if they got offensive linemen during
The off
off
season.
season.
Yeah, I believe they it's a step for sure, and they probably address later on in the draft cornerbacks. What's his name? Dante Jackson. He's gone, right?
Yeah.
I forgot who he went to, but of course, he's gone, and so they'll probably address some defense, cornerback, D line, things like that later on in the draft. Um, like you mentioned, good point that you pointed that out. Thielen is not a off the top kind of guy, and Xavier Legette, they went and found some guy who can blow it off the top. With sub 4.40 that can do a pretty decent job. And so round 1. 32 teams. A couple teams had a couple picks, a couple moves, a couple shockers. David Worthy for sure, and a couple things that discovered would
Mhm.
be interesting for the rest of the draft. Again, like I
Yeah.
mentioned with my team, 49ers, picking a receiver. I don't know what that means about Ayuk and company. And then the Cowboys picking an offensive tackle. All right, you gotta try to be physical and get some run game going somehow. And get the ball out of Dak's hands and get the ball out of our opponent's hands and chew up some of the clock. Still have to address the running back situation. Not
Yeah.
they have to address that. We'll see what happens there. But round one is in the books, and
And then
I'll re.
also the
I'm sorry.
Bills, the Buffalo Bills, they didn't get a first round pick.
They
They
didn't.
traded
They
both of
didn't.
their first round
Yep.
picks.
That's interesting. Um, yeah. So we'll see what was going on there. They probably didn't feel too highly on the guys that were on the board, and they felt like the guy that they want or guys that they want will be available later on in the draft. Uh, and they'll pay less money for them, and so that's always a gamble, and we'll see what happens with that. We've been on for about 2 hours and 15 minutes, a little bit less than that, and we've been trying to recap and give our thoughts on the first round of the NFL draft. We're coming back to you, I guess, later on today when the next rounds are on for Friday. We will recap that night and the way the schedule will go. The next time we'll come on following tonight will be after the draft, and we will recap what we think and grade each team. But hopefully you enjoyed. If you tuned in, or if you will tune in or watch later, we'll do our best to provide some objective opinions about the NFL and sports and entertainment, and this is just a start. And so for Q and I'm Jimmie, we're signing off, but we will be back in about I don't know whenever the round two, whenever the day number two ends, we'll be back to give you our thoughts on that. So peace out until then.